I did some thinking, and it's with 55,000, I think, in my case, right? Because I'm not super jumpy in doing any one of these things, right? I think you can grab essence stones, and that's kind of a given. I think getting charm designs is kind of a given. Same thing for the charm guides, because I feel like in priority for me, those are the ones that make the most sense. Now, pets I could always work on. I don't really have a whole lot of enhancement XP, so I'll grab that. Stamina is always a nice thing to grab. And then, of course, if you don't have the exploration manuals, you really probably should get those. But for what I have left, I'll go ahead and just grab these, because I more than likely have enough, as you might imagine. I'll go ahead and pick up all the books. And with only 8,000 left, you might be wondering, well, what about your Gen 3 custom? It's an option, but I don't think I'm going to do it this right. I think what I'll do instead is I'll actually grab the resource chests and grab about 835 of them. Because that, to me, makes the most sense. And so that's what I'm going to do for the Tundra trading station. Now, for the Hall of Heroes, the one thing I was going to mention was, you can always grab Logan shards and such from here, but again, the main thing with this is it's more kind of tailored towards pay to win, and even if you do get enough shards from Logan, it's not cheap. I actually tend to find that whenever you run into doing those heroes, it might actually be more worth skipping them, because of just the immense cost associated with them. But, that's just my 2 cents. A lot of those Hall of Heroes are never my particular favorites anyway. And that's just, it's an opinion, but it's an opinion that I've held on to for quite some time, because I very rarely find myself ever not flinching at the cost associated to them, because there's so much more, you gotta be so much more invested into those heroes. I mean, as far as, like, my daily tasks go, you can kind of see how my rotation is, how I like to go about it. Just to say, I basically do intel missions. I grab my fire crystals, I get my free troops, and I rinse repeat. That is, I mean, really about all there is to the cycle in terms of what I do on a day-to-day basis, but I thought, I might as well kind of give you an idea of what that rotation looks like. Now, some people had asked about the enlistment office, and more specifically what it is. And really about all you need to know about the enlistment office is that if for any reason you have an infirmary that goes over your total amount, then the troops that die will wind up living in the enlistment office. Now, this does not apply if you're attacking somebody. So these troops are only going to show up in the event that you are the one being attacked. Now, again, I think something that a lot of people don't really put a lot of time and thought into, it's the fact that when you're soloing people out or rallying them, that the defender's going to have the advantage of a 10% boost, but he'll also have the advantage of turning his troops back relatively easily, especially during events like SVS and what have you. Now, something that you can kind of take this with a grain of salt, right? But at the end of King of Icefield, you'll have a week of basically what is Alliance mobilization, right? And the following week follows after the end of this event is the start of SVS. So, in case you did not know when the start of SBS is, that kind of gives you an idea of what to do and how to prepare. Now, I mean, as far as like mix and match goes, as I had mentioned before, this is a really decent pack to grab everything from like speed ups to research speeds, construction speeds, but also grab fire crystals from. Of course, there have been some kind of interesting pack rotations that have been kind of floating around that don't show up all that often. But again, most of the value that I've ever found in the rotations are kind of a dime a dozen. It's like you gotta almost kind of wait and see a lot of the time with the packs in the game, especially if you're going to be gaming it and you're going to be spending relatively regularly. It's just kind of something you have to do in order to kind of make ends meet with it. Now, as far as Mercenaries Prestige goes, I mean, I already kind of did this on my own, and I didn't really have a whole lot of time and thought put into it, but I'd say about the only thing that can be said about Mercenary Prestige is that you do need a lot of stamina saved up for it. And I really would say that most people that are getting by on that event without really a whole lot of trouble are people like me that conveniently also happen to have the Ultra monthly card. And that's why that cheap stamina pack shows up from time to time. It's to take advantage of the players that don't actually have this Ultra value monthly card. Because if you did, you'll have plenty of stamina. Like, as you can tell, I have 566 stamina, and I don't even use it all. And most of the time, what I do is I just reuse what I get out of the storehouse, save my stamina, and stack it up. So you can see I've got 266. I'll just continuously stack it and then use it during events like these. Yeah, you could be uber efficient if you'd like, and you can go out and actually do a bunch of solos, So, for example, I could set this up in such a way that, okay, instead of using stamina, just go out and hit monsters as often as possible with my stamina. And, of course,